So I was flying to meet some buddies at the lake in Arkansas. So I had a connecting flight. Immediately, they're like, connecting flight, you're going to miss it. So I go, hold on a second. I find a direct flight from the closer airport to Chicago on a different airline. So I'm going to make that one. But then because they're like, you're going to miss it, they just automatically kick me off the flight. There was like no option to keep me. I'm online. They're like, choose a new flight. I'm trying desperately to be like,
just keep
it. Keep it. And they've kicked. So then I'm chatting and I was like, listen, I'm going to be in Chicago. I'm getting there. We're talking another time about how you owe me money for screwing this up. But because it's like a 2-night trip and I'm going to miss half the trip. Like, I got to get there.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's booked. I'm like, I was doing all caps chat. Get me on the flight. Full type keyboard Karen. I was like, I booked that flight. You removed me and now it's booked?
Yeah.
2 people I talk with online. It's just booked. I love when the airlines are like, but great news. You're on the 5:30 a.m. tomorrow, free of charge. Thanks so much. But then I went to the actual airport and talked to a physical person, and they just clicked a few buttons and got me. Once I got to Chicago, I was still nervous. Mm-hmm. I had my ticket. I was like, aisle 1 Comfort Plus. Like, who did I talk to online? It's so, when the customer service is so unhelpful and so screws you over, it is a feeling of helplessness that is hard to duplicate.
It's interesting too when they say it's booked. That seems like a pass-fail thing. Not like, I mean, it looks booked. Talk to a gate agent. It's like, is there a spot or not?
Clearly there was a spot. I was so confused. Oh my goodness.
I didn't tell you this, but I almost missed the flight to Ohio. And it's not really a trigger necessarily.
Wait, weren't we on the same flight?
Yes. We got there at the same time and I almost missed it. Because, and so I think some of this is like my fault.
My pee was so long.
I was racing against a man I met in the terminal.
That I washed my hands for 20 minutes. This guy was we were in a gridlock.
And then I couldn't eat sugar. I'm looking around for a banana, and that took a while. No, gridlock, that's a good word. But so I've always thought it was something like Southwest, you need to check in, right? The speed at which you check in is where you get to sit, essentially. Yep. Like, why do other airlines make you check in? Like, what am I even doing when I check in? So I always kind of forget about it. And it's usually when I get to the airport, I'm like, I need to get my boarding pass. This time we got to the airport like 45 minutes before our flight, Kansas City, no problem. We're going to get through, quick security line. But I go to get my boarding pass and it says, cannot be completed. Go see a kiosk. So I'm like, okay. And I go to the kiosk and it says, you missed the check-in window to get your boarding pass. You can't check in with 45 minutes left before your flight. Go see a gate agent. So I go see them and they're like, ooh, yeah. So we can't give you a boarding pass. We're going to have to book you on the next one. I was like, whoa, just like that? Like, just like that? It just gone?
That makes my blood boil.
Because I was like, well, I mean, I'm here and like the line is short. Like, I know I can make the flight. They're like, well, you didn't check in. I was like, dang, that's a major punishment.
It's like, that seat will just be empty. They're like, yeah. And you're going to put me on a new one? Yeah.
So technically, I think it was my fault. So I guess I can't, but I was shocked at the punishment. And so then they're like, but you don't need a boarding pass to go through security. So go in with your ID and then talk to the gate agent there and she can get you on it. So I'm like, okay, go through. And then I talked to that gate agent. She's like, how'd you get in here with no boarding pass? And I was like, the other person told me to do this. I don't know. And I was like, so is my spot still available? Like, well, what happens when you don't check in? We give that seat up to members on standby. I was like, oh boy. Oh boy.
So you got to see that guy right there? He's on standby because his dad died. He's going to the funeral. So you got to go look him in the eyes and explain it to him. And just let us know.
Yeah, it would have been, yeah. So it was, luckily I came into it very humbly. I think I went to my final gauge agent. She said, hey, can I help you? And I go, I'm an idiot. Okay. I didn't check in for my flight until I got here. I was too late. And long story short, she ended up telling me, she's like, you know what? Because you were, I forgot how she worded it exactly, but she's like, because you were willing to admit you made a mistake, I'm going to get you on this flight. And I was like, wow, thank you. So I made it, but I was sweating for a while.
That reminds me when I went to like Taco Bell in high school and I told him, he accidentally charged me for 2 burritos. He goes, free cinnamon twist. Honesty is the best policy.
I thought he was going to say, thank you.
Yeah. And he looked me right in the eyes and didn't say anything. He was high as could be. And he still charged me. Dude, that's like, you know what? Because you admitted you're an idiot, because most of the time I deal with idiots and they don't know it. I like you. So
yeah,
have a free ticket, idiot boy.
You're gonna,
Okay, so
you'll
you
love Stark
by
County.
like with minutes to spare, you got on that
It
plane.
was really close, and
So I guess so like they hadn't really given away standby yet, I guess.
well, they were kind of in the process of it. I was like watching people like go by who were like, "Hey, did I make it on?" And they were like, "Yeah, let's get you a seat." And I was like, "Well, there's one." And like, "Oh, there's two. How many standby seats are there?" Like I was watching people take my potential seats. So
Okay.
yeah, I didn't really share that with you because I made it. It was fine. It didn't matter.
That's hilarious. I'm just grabbing I'm grabbing a Starbucks and getting sit tight. Meanwhile, you're
I'm sweating, like trying to book
Sweating
another
like crazy.
flight. There's only
What-
one other flight to get me to Cleveland in time for the show. And I was like, if I don't make this one now, I have to get to Terminal B before that flight takes off. It was,
I just would have loved to get that text as I'm sitting on the plane, like, "Hey man, I missed the flight." I'm like, "Did we come here together?"
I was
What'd
dreading
you
that.
do?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to have to explain all
Hey,
that via
man,
text.
Just imagining the text you would have sent me.
Hey, man.
I know this is confusing. I did not make the flight, although we walked into this airport together.
Yeah. I'm like, man, I got to get pre-check. You're like, I don't think the line was that long. I think you can make it through. So now, I mean, just lesson learned. Check into your flights, even if it feels like this doesn't matter. Check in before you get there.
Check in.
Um,
Which reminds me, I need to go through and complain to American. Always, by the way, if you ever get any delays, complain to their customer service chat. They might give you $50. You can really push for more.
good.
I mean, no, don't be a jerk about it. But seriously, like one time I was kept on a plane that had landed for 3 hours
Oh,
on
wow.
the tarmac, which is horrible. And I complained. They gave me $200.
They gave me free cinnamon
I was like, "Hey,
twist.
this sucked a lot." yeah. Cinnamon twist.
They said, we don't have any vouchers for American, but what about Arby's?